Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Table Talk with Brenda Perryman. And I am Brenda Perryman. And today we have two of our regular co-hosts, and we have a guest co-host today. So I'd like to introduce my co-host, or they introduce themselves.
I'm Robert Thomas, board member of the City of Detroit Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'm Chris Summerall, servant for the citizens of the city of Detroit.
Good afternoon. My name is Barry Ross. I'm the founder of Detroit Coalition Against Violence and Fair Exchange, LLC, clothing business.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Barry, and we're looking forward to some very enlightening conversation. We have a lot to talk about today, but as is our tradition, we always do an excerpt from On This Day in African American Life in Detroit by Ken Coleman. And on this day in 1990, the 5th annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony is held in New York City. Inductees include Detroit's own Four Tops. The quartet, who hail from Pershing and Northern high schools, enjoyed a tremendous run, performing between 1953 and 1997 without a personnel change. That's a long, long time. God, they must have started really young. Their many smash hits include Baby, I Need Your Lovin', I Can't Help Myself, I Can't Help Myself, I Can't Help But Sing, Sugar Pie, Honey Bunch, Reach Out and I'll Be There, Standing in the Shadows of Love, Bernadette, Still Waters. I can't help it. I can't help it. I hear the names of the song and I have to sing them. Longtime Motown label mate Stevie Wonder had the pleasure of formally inducting or introducing Levi Stubbs, Abdul Duke Fakir, Ronaldo, Obie Benson, and Lawrence Payton during the ceremonies. And they always, what was their signature step? Does anyone know besides me? Come on.
I don't know. I always hear them on the radio, so I haven't.
Oh, you never got to. I know what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Still
Yeah.
some hits though.
I mean,
Hits on the radio.
Don't forget, Just Ask the Lonely was probably my favorite song.
that was my favorite one. In fact,
Beautiful
I
song.
remember during that time I had a little boyfriend. You just ask the lonely, they'll tell you. Oh, Lord, you're
So-
worse than me.
So, no, I was
Okay.
sort of on. I was sort of on.
Yeah, but to these young bloods here, I would like to say, show me a step from one of your groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Is
can
that
have
a
it one
challenge?
day.
Is that a challenge? Is she
Well,
challenging?
see, the Jackson 5 were out before you were even born, so hey. Well, anyway, let's
Ooh,
go
this
to a
was- Boyz II
little
Men,
bit of
Boyz II Men.
news, and we're going to do a lot of state and local news today. Our first news story deals with Terry Lynn Land. She used to be the Secretary of State here in the state of Michigan, and she is going to be running for Congress in the seat that Carl Levin.
Well, she's running against Carl Levin. She's the Republican nominee.
He's stepping down.
Yeah,
He's retiring.
Right, but she's not running against him.
Right.
Gary Peters plans to run for Carl Levin's seat.
Yeah.
unopposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no other Democrats in that one. And she has outraised him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by a lot.
Wow.
Carl Levin, that is.
No,
No.
Terry.
Gary Peters.
Gary Peters.
Okay.
Gary Peters. Carl Levin is stepping down after many years.
Big loss.
It is a big loss. It is a big loss. He was very good. But right now we got to look at the future. And it's very important to look out for the future. And she's getting a lot of support. And I'm not saying you have to vote Democratic, but she...
Well, on the terms of funds, she's contributed handsomely to her own campaign.
Yes,
So,
she can write herself a check.
yeah, so she has the means to do that, and I think that
I believe she infused like 1.6 million of her own dollars
Wow.
into the
Yeah.
campaign, which led
Quite
up
a-
to like 3.7 million.
quite a
So-
large amount of money. So I don't know if it necessarily represents true support one way or the other. Obviously, she believes in herself. We can say that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May I ask what her background is financially? Where's all this coming from? What did she do for a living? Or
I don't know, except she's been rich for a long time.
it's a lot of money.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been rich for a long time. I don't know if some of it was through marriage or whatever, but the point being is, as we know, through this state, with the Republicans who are in office in this state, they're ramrodding bills through that are doing no good for anybody.
Lightning speed.
Lightning speed.
He's
And
passed more
definitely
bills,
not-
the governor. I'm
and,
sorry.
And definitely not doing any good for the middle class and the poor in Michigan. Period. They're really looking out for the upper middle class to the rich in this area.
No question.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like when they started taxing my pension, it was like, was there even a debate or discussion? You can just take this money out.
Obviously that's the case, and we're seeing even more. What's going on in the city of Detroit right now with
Emergency
the emergency appointment of the emergency manager. So we're getting a lesson in the law right now.
And it's not
Or
going to change.
lawlessness.
Well, it's not going to change unless the Michiganders come together and turn the state blue again, and so they can dismantle some of these laws they've already put on the books.
Well, this is something I say, and this is something I've seen over the years because I've been voting a long time. And the fact that we had Governor Engler, who was against teachers, we had, and against the union and everything. He would get in every
All
time.
reform.
He would still get in because they would still vote for him. They would still, and then same with Snyder. Snyder looks like he's running unopposed. I don't care. I think he's running this time, and he has Mark Schauer. Are you familiar with Mark Schauer?
No.
He's the designated Democratic
nominee.
nominee.
Yeah, and it will, quite frankly, it's kind of difficult to overcome a incumbent in any race. It's hard to do it. Now, I definitely wish Shara well, but we'll see how the outcome is.
May I say something?
Yes.
Not to interrupt you. When Snyder first got in, he assured everybody that he was going to pass many bills. And he has, like we were talking about, he has passed bills probably in record speed. Yes, and last night, did you see the State of the Address?
I saw bits and pieces.
Last night he said something interesting. That I was under the impression he said he wants to see the emergency managers go. And I don't believe that's his agenda at all. And our emergency manager in Detroit, their goal is to sell off all the assets. It's obvious to us. And they have been.
We're going to talk about that. We have Tom on the line. Good afternoon, Tom.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
How's it going, Tom?
In regards to Mark Schauer, and I'm tired of hearing the early negativity in terms of the only candidate on the Democrat side for governor right now. Mark Schauer, he was a congressman who was elected from the west side of the state. I think he's from around about Benton Harbor or somewhere over in there. In Republican territory, he took out a sitting incumbent Republican to get down to Congress in Washington. And he got caught up in that 2010 fiasco when them crazy teabag people and Tea Party people came and launched their assault. And so, Mark Schauer, is he known? No, but he's getting there. And my whole thing is right now, it appears as we speak right now, because there's no other candidate in the race, we've got to get behind and support this man. Because otherwise, what are we going to get again? We're going to get 4 years of Governor Snyder.
No
and
way.
we know what Governor Snyder's done. The first thing that he did when he got in there, he took a $2 billion tax break off the back of businesses. And what did he do? He put it on Brenda's back, your 3 guests' back, my back, and all the other people here in this state. And, he talked about, we've got a surplus. I guess you do have a surplus.
Right.
You're
When I
taxing
heard
my
that, I
pension
said-
and Brenda's pension and all the other pensioners, who are receiving a pension. And, and right now, we are, what is it? I think we got the 3rd highest unemployment rate in this country. And he's talking about Michigan being the comeback state. Come on, it might be coming back, but it's going in milliliters in terms of the progress that it's making.
Yeah, but Tom,
Yeah.
I know that Mark Schauer has been to the area, and then at one point I was asked, about him being on my show, but it was just like because he'd be in town that day.
I'll see if I can get him there.
Okay, see if you could get him there. And a lot of people are very positive about him, but I think he needs to be bigger about his message. I don't know what his message is yet. And I realize he's been to meetings in the city and so forth, but I don't know what his message is.
Okay, but in regards to Mr. Shower, I'm a member of the Wayne County Democratic Black Caucus. I'm an executive board member. And on this coming Wednesday, the 22nd, at 6 o'clock, down at the AFSCME building at 600 West Lafayette, Mark Shower will be there. So those in the listening audience, if you want to come on down. It's an open meeting. There's parking in the back of the building, and across the street there's also parking, secured parking. So, if you want to see the man and hear the man, he will be down at the AFSCME building at 600 West Lafayette on January 22nd, and the meeting, we start at 6 o'clock.
Well, I've gotten emails about him because I
Okay.
get a lot of Democratic emails and everything, but I think he needs to put bigger messages out on social media, probably some kind of videos that he could put on Facebook or something to make, I don't even know what the man looks like. And I'm sorry, if you're running for an office this big, you got to come out the box, you got to come out fighting. We all remember Snyder's launch, don't we? I'm a nerd.
Right.
Yeah, but it resonated, and some of these same talk show, some of
turned
these
into
other
an
talk show hosts were saying, "Oh, I think that's so intriguing. I like that." Black talk show hosts.
Yeah, his slogan is one tough nerd. But to Shower's credit, I don't think the media's giving him as much attention as Snyder did when he was coming in. As
Well, you
running
got to
for office.
make your news.
That's right.
He needs a better PR person. He needs to
right.
make his news.
And I have heard him on Facebook. I saw a lot of his literature out there,
Yeah.
social media. I've seen that, definitely. It's just that I haven't
I'm a
seen him
visual learner.
in the Metro Detroit area at all, making noise or anything. And I knew it's last year is particularly, some people will say it's early, but I think the earlier
I
the better
think it's
is
never
when you're
too
trying
early.
to upseat an incumbent.
Unseat an incumbent. Absolutely. And I understand. And I'm not trying to be negative, Tom. I'm just saying what he probably needs to do.
Yeah, well,
I
he
mean,
needs
some
to
things.
do more of it is what it is.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody
Michigan,
maybe.
Michigan's a big state, okay? Because I know he's been to a couple of functions at the 14th Congressional District. He was at our Christmas party, which happened in December, and also he's been to the Wayne County Democratic Black Caucus a time or two. He's going to be there this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock, as I said, down at the AFSCME building at 600 West Lafayette. And so, I mean, he's making his rounds and this kind of thing. So,
Well, he needs to make it a little louder, make his rounds and be a little louder with them. He really does, and he needs to. We got to get some name recognition. You know how people are.
Yeah.
They vote for people that people vote how they feel about a candidate.
Already know.
All
No
the time.
backgrounds, no background.
All the time. I mean, I like him. That's the first thing that people say. I liked him. I don't know him. I mean, I don't endorse really, but I just don't know him, and he just has to do a lot better for me.
I mean, I mean, I've personally stood face to face with him and talked with him, and he's a genuinely nice guy, and he's very knowledgeable.
Okay. And we don't know how he's doing on the west coast of the state. I mean, he could be
West-
doing, pretty
Well, I
good
can
over
barely
there,
hear you all.
and thinking that the east side, the southeast side is a pretty predominantly Democratic area. So he may just
But
think that
it doesn't even say that people are going to come out and vote.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Democrats who don't even come out and vote. There's a whole big initiative that needs to be done, and you need to
Exactly.
hire the best PR persons that you can, and that's exactly what Snyder
Voting
did.
in general.
Right. Voting, period.
Right.
Period. So I don't know. Thank you for your call, Tom.
Okay, thanks for taking
Always
the call,
got it
Susan.
stirring up. You may want to call back after some of these topics we got on today.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
all right, bye.
Right. Now, the 14th district. Now, I just have it listed there, but there are some candidates running in the 14th district. Can any of you name any of the ones that are running
I
so
think
far?
the 14th district, congressional district, what was that, Rudy Hobbs? Is he
Yes.
one of the candidates, amongst others?
Burt Johnson,
Burt Johnson.
State Senator Burt Johnson. We have Vince Gregory, State Senator. Isn't he a state senator? I think so. Vince Gregory. We have Mayor Brenda Lawrence. She's running. It's like every time a big
Seat
thing
like
is,
that.
she
She's from
runs a lot.
Southfield?
Yeah.
She's the Southfield mayor. Yes. And there are others who are coming down the pike. I believe there's one more, somebody else I missed.
Well, Rudy Hobbs' name is really resonating, picking up, especially amongst, like I said, social media.
Yeah, but he doesn't know anything about the city. I know Rudy. I know everyone personally.
Okay.
And he doesn't. I've heard him on radio. I've heard him on Angelo Henderson's show. And anytime they ask something about the city, he can't get specific with anything.
Well, hopefully he's listening in right now so he can hone in on the area he's weak in.
I'm just saying, you know, to me, because the city is very important, as well as the suburbs. And that district is made up of the city
Part
and
of the city,
suburbs.
yeah.
So my thing is, learn to talk to everybody.
Excuse me, what are the boundaries of the 14th district? Does anybody know?
Well, I know it goes Southfield, Oak Park, Grosse Pointe,
Parts of these,
Yeah, I thought it was
parts
Grosse
of
parts of
Pointe, too.
Detroit,
Yeah,
Grosse
parts of Detroit,
Pointe, Highland Park,
That's big.
Pontiac.
It stretches.
It really, really stretches, and that was due, of course, to gerrymandering. Well, I guess I'm the last angry woman today. I'm the last about this because, you know, here we have the right to vote. There are people who get into office who don't deserve to be in office. There are people who don't do anything. Our state Democratic party just seems to be
It's
very
light.
weak to me.
It's light, yep.
It's very weak. What are we afraid of? You know, and I just.
Duggan swears to build this up.
But he's one man.
I know,
And,
but there's a drive to build it up.
I think they need to eradicate some infighting, too, amongst the Democratic base here in Michigan. You hear about different district type of issues coming out, and it comes out in the public. It pours right on out about different people running for this and that. And it's pretty contentious.
Wow. Well, this year is a very important year. So hopefully, I don't know what we could do to get people out to vote. I don't know why people don't feel it's their responsibility. Because you benefit or you don't benefit by your action or inaction.
They don't think it matters. Most people, in my opinion, have been beaten down, lied to, cheated on for so long and not seen the changes necessary. And they figure that my vote won't make a difference. And they've lost, really, a lot of people have just lost faith and hope in the system that has been broken for so long.
Yeah, and they don't think their vote matters.
They don't think it
Quite
matters.
frankly,
They don't think they matter.
Yeah.
Well, I heard something on the radio the other day. Someone had called in and said, yeah, if they build some more factories and give some people jobs, that whole factory thing is going by the way of buttonhole shoes. Seriously.
Yeah.
They're not going to build any more factories. People have to get their education. They're going to have to get training, even
No
if it's
question.
not education. And that's something we need to harp on. I'm on a soapbox. Come on, say something.
No, not. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, people, they have to know that technology is really running the country right now versus, in the olden days it was manufacturing jobs. Now it's shifting, and people got to catch up with this shift.
What's
You're
the
so
respons-
cute talking about the olden days. Those are my days. Everybody got out of high school. All the guys got a job at the plant. Those days are over.
But it's a responsibility to be more creative, and it's not that you can't have a job, but you're going to have to supplement income somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, because the wages that our dads would get in comparison to cost of living, if we were to do those same jobs today, it would pale in comparison. So look for opportunities to supplement. Entrepreneurship is something that I'm a big fan and cheerleader for, and so there are opportunities for us to do business within, our own communities. And, personally, I feel that that's an avenue that we really need to bolster up, that entrepreneurial
and
spirit.
people who are entrepreneurs like yourself, like Barry Ross, the more that you encourage people to do that and show them how they could do that. A lot of times people don't know how they can do that.
Brenda, the people that worked in the big three that lost their jobs, let's say there's 750 or 700,000 people in Detroit, and let's say, just a figure, 150,000 men and women that worked in the plants that lost their jobs. Most of them have a major fear of technology. I'm 62, and I look good for 62. But when I was 50 years old, I got my first computer, and I swear I didn't know how to find a power button. Now I'm on the computer. Most people are afraid. How many people have you seen have a smartphone, and you say, how's your address book? What address book? I just use this as a phone. A lot of people in their late 40s, 50s, and 60s are lost and afraid. You can give them technology classes. I think you could offer, but they're so afraid. They need to know that they can do it.
They need to know that it's user-friendly. And another way to do it is probably, say, a station like WHPR, just start offering a show that starts with beginning computer.
Great idea.
Beginning.
But there also has to be a desire.
No question.
And I think that that's huge, because right now there are opportunities to go and learn and become more computer savvy, but there has to be a desire. Basically, you have to have a will for it. And what happens, as a person gets older, whether they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, as this young, good-looking guy said, people get set in their ways, and they're not open to new opportunities. And so, but the thing that is the case, that what worked yesterday will not work today and will definitely be obsolete tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So, the hope is that an entrepreneur like yourself can grab someone else and show them that, hey, if I can do it, I'm no better than you, you can do it as well.
No question.
That's absolutely right. Now, I forgot to put it on the run-up show, but I have it as far as our news stories about what the bankruptcy judge did yesterday in denying Detroit's pension debt deal. Can anyone speak to that?
Well, essentially, it looked like Judge Rhodes basically said it was a bad deal, and that he believed that the city could do better. And it was surprising to me that the emergency manager, the governor, wouldn't want to do better themselves. That it would take a judge to say, hey, I think you guys can do better in a court if you guys pursue this, to try to either sue those lenders or whatever recourse that they have. And I think that it's a win, be that a soft win right now, but we'll see how it plays out.
Well, my mother I used to sew, but I would sew so fast and half do. And she called me hot thread and burning needle. I think that Orr has been trying to do the hot thread and burning needle thing just to get it over with. You know what I'm saying?
To his credit, he brought up the fact that, hey, I think we need to sue these banks before. And I think this is that green light for Orr to go ahead and do so. Now, they are in negotiations about how they proceed regarding negotiating this deal, but I think Judge Rose tell him, hey, you guys have a case here, you may want to pursue it. And that will probably give them more leverage to negotiate even better.
Exactly. That will kind of raise those eyebrows of those lenders and say, well, hey, maybe we should be more flexible.
It's not going to be that easy
to renegotiate the terms and conditions of the debt.
That loan was written fraudulently.
Yeah.
That's the real deal.
Oh.
They created a loan with an interest rate. They call them interest swaps.
Was this
6,000%. This went down, believe it or not. Kevin Orr had something to do with this loan initially. If they look, and they know this now, that's the real deal. The fundamentals of the loan to Detroit were written to balloon to interest rates that were out of this world.
Yeah.
This loan is a fraudulent loan. That's why this judge doesn't want to
Predatory.
pass
And that's
it.
something
He's
that-
recognizing it. That's the real story.
That's something the judge was saying. He was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is a bad deal, and we're not going to let Detroit fall into the same trap."
It's a
they've done
sucker
before."
deal.
And they want to, for OR and the banks to really get down to nitty gritty and renegotiate the whole thing.
We probably owe 10% of what the actual loan calls for. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but it's way out of shape.
Well, the reason why I said hot thread and burning needle is because it seems like they're trying to do all of this in this 18 months that this man
Right.
is supposed to be here, and they're just trying to make everything so cut and dry, and get it over with.
Or, when they turn it back over to the
Duggan.
elected mayor, it would lead to more of the bankruptcy attorneys for the city or for Orr's firm to be more involved. Maybe not Orr himself, but people.
Is that Jones Day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jones Day, since they own the books right now, is a representative for the
They
city.
are getting rich.
They're going to be here for a while.
Richer
I don't
and
see
richer.
that. I don't see that just going away anytime soon.
Okay, did any of you get a chance to read about the water deal? Because the rates are going up. I don't want to even, I'm embarrassed to tell you what I paid on my last water bill.
Well, I had an opportunity to read a little bit of it, and the consensus is that rates are going to go up even more. And obviously, there's the contention between city and suburbs with regard to how the water department is ran, who should carry the burden of updating the system and things like that.
Which is interesting.
Which is interesting because there's a shared responsibility. But I think that when the title Detroit is attached to anything, there's a contempt that outsiders have toward contributing to the upkeep or maintenance of, even though they benefit from it.
Right,
And
that's
so
true.
I think that Mr. Brooks Patterson, he honestly admitted that we are going to have to take some responsibility. The Macomb County executive, he was a little bit more firm into saying,
Now
well,
that's who I thought should have run for mayor. For governor, Mark Hackle.
Yeah.
I like him.
yeah, well, he's kind of firm, and I think it's more political, his jargon right now, because he knows himself that with everything that's going on with the city and the updates and everything that's going on as far as Kevin Orr, the governor, there's going to be money that's going to be pouring into the water department, and it's going to come from Macomb County, it's going to come from Oakland County, and it's going to come from Wayne County as well. So,
Well, and people who are renting who may say, well, this won't affect me. Yes, it will, because it will raise your rental rates.
absolutely.
I can see that. And I think what's fascinating to me about this is the fact that they're pushing for regionalization of the water. Now it seems as though Patterson's pushing back, saying, "Hey, before you regionalize this, won't Detroit go ahead and pay that $9 million
the cost.
to restore
Yeah,
it,
absorb the debt, and then give it
for
to-
maintenance and things like that, and then
Then give it to us.
Then we'll think about regionalizing this whole deal."
The water is our holy grail. That's the last thing we
That's
want to give
the-
control of.
That's the last
We
thing.
really need to get on board with the water. If he takes over the water, gives control to the suburbs, it's all over. That's our main revenue source here.
Well, it'll be interesting how this whole thing plays out, because that's what people are thinking that OR is leaning towards, is regionalizing the whole
And,
water department.
And that's been a topic of conversation ever since I can remember, and especially since this bankruptcy has been looming over the city. Forming this authority and giving the proverbial crumbs to the city to let it go. I think in this article it mentioned giving the city 50, 60, maybe 70 million or something to let go of control.
That's chump change.
It's chump change.
What's interesting, though, is also that what the article didn't mention was a Duggan or Facano interview in regards of what do they think about the water board this issue. So
Okay, guys, we got to move
Definitely
ahead.
absent there.
Duggan appointees control street lighting, land bank initiative. So they were just saying that he he has gained majority control of the two authorities overseeing anti-blight and lighting initiatives, helping him to fulfill a promise that hopefully we'll have street lights and take care of a lot of those issues about the blight in the city, because the blight invites a lot of crime.
It invites crime, but it also invites a mentality and more of a spirit
That's right.
of gloom and doom.
Yeah.
For the
And-
children especially.
For the children, for individuals
Visitors.
the visitors who
Yeah.
come into this
Tourists.
town and they get a snapshot of what Detroit is, and they're not able to go and see, you know, the beautiful parts of the city. They see a series of burned out houses. Well, that's Detroit for them. But I think that it was important, especially on the back end of Mayor Duggan's promise to give me 6 months.
Yeah.
And so for him to put out that appeal and not have any authority, it would be you know, a death sentence to him to kind of, you know, go out on a limb and put his reputation out and have no authority to implement some visible changes. And I think that these are two areas that people can actually see some things going on,
Yeah.
versus
Concrete.
you know, versus the behind the scenes.
And
Yeah.
this is one of the areas where Orr and Duggan has been working together, negotiating what powers that Duggan be taking over. And quite frankly, over this past week, this was, I mean, a lot of this stuff, 2 weeks ago, this started. Since they got rid of the last lighting board, whenever you,
Yeah.
and what happens is, I think it's every 3 to 4 years, I believe 4 years, 4-year terms, whenever you put in a new mayor, that whole board goes away. So last week, they appointed the new members of both the lighting commission and the blight commission. So.
I just want to make a comment on both areas if I can. You know, we board up abandoned houses.
Right.
There's 140 some odd thousand homes, not counting maybe, I can't even say, maybe 10, 15, 20,000 abandoned buildings. Over and beyond the blight and the sentiment, rape, molesting, they're havens for predators, not squatters, but plotters that want to take out people in the neighborhood. They stash bodies.
Yeah.
We boarded up a home last year where a young man was shot from a high school 3 days before we boarded the house up. It was abandoned, and they were having a party. I mean, we know what's going on in these houses. It's much more than they look bad. So if there's a street where there's 15 houses and 10 of them are abandoned, and elderly or the weak or the infirmed are living there, and children, the reason I said children is because babies are walking to school past this. What are they supposed to be thinking? Then they get to a school where the teachers aren't showing them what they used to. They're working under a bureaucracy where they don't even really have all the equipment, the tools to teach. The children
And a
might not
child
have
will
eaten
say,
breakfast.
Is this my life? Is
Right.
this my life?
Right.
Well, they won't even question it. They will just automatically assume that this is
Yes.
Right.
This is my
It's the
life.
norm.
This is my
That's
life.
what's bad. They've accepted the abnormal as the normal in Detroit. And I think apathy, and we see apathy in the churches, not getting involved. I have
agree.
petitioned councils of pastors. Let me board up the homes around here. Let me get the men, and I've been to 75 churches. Can we get the people in this church to come out with us at night, the men? We'll show you how to patrol in the area. 3 men, 1 man, no men show up. You know, you talk about voting is an absence, but there's an absence with everything.
And I agree totally with you. There's an absence of community responsibility. And being a public servant in the city for quite some years as a firefighter, I have crawled in those homes while they're on fire, only to find out after the fire that there's tons of needles on the floor or drug paraphernalia, not to mention the countless other things that I don't even need to explain that we see. And so to piggyback off your comments, they are a haven for all negative activity. There's nothing positive that's coming out of an abandoned, open to trespass home. There is a certain responsibility to handle this correctly, though, because the city wants to create a better image. You just can't go and just tear down houses. There's a certain process that the city needs to adhere to so that it protects itself as far as liability and things like that. So I'm a fan of Mayor Duggan getting this control. What I believe is I'm going to see now is we're going to see more private funds pour in and support. I had an opportunity of sitting in a group of folks with Mr. Dan Gilbert, and he said one of his number one objectives was to get rid of every single abandoned eyesore home in the city of Detroit.
And he's in on that.
And he's definitely in on that, and I think that this is a move that is going to, marry city politics with a business leader like Mr. Gilbert.
What's shocking to me, what you just said, Barry, is the fact that you're saying that you spoke with 75 churches and only a handful of individuals came out?
I have addressed
to get rid of blight?
a minimum of 75 churches individually and 3 councils, different councils of different religious factions, and hardly any support from anywhere. I was at, there's some great churches, but there's some churches that the majority are self-serving. I hate to say it.
Okay.
I'm not even going to get into that on your show.
I know.
Okay.
I know, because I just feel that, the areas even just around the churches, if the people could keep that together,
That's okay.
Maybe someone could answer this question for me. Riding around, you see, I guess you would consider them Wayne County inmates. They do cleanups and stuff like. I don't see it going on in the city.
Yeah.
Why is it that you see that in the burbs where they're, I don't understand.
You see it on the
been brought up here
interstates,
many
but you don't see them inside the city regarding, the streets and whatnot. But you see them on the city, on the interstate, cleaning up and things.
Well,
like
even
that,
on the
so.
interstate, I don't see them
Guys,
nearly as much.
guys.
So.
We got to move on because I'm about to hang myself with all this bad news. I just want to be hopeful.
Sorry.
I want to be hopeful. No,
Well,
it
it's
has
not bad
to be,
news when they
no,
created the
well,
Blight and Lighting
okay,
Commission.
But just
Yeah.
hearing about just.
Well, this is to help eradicate it. So
Right.
hopefully this plan goes.
Well, let's
full
go
steam ahead.
quickly. The Detroit's new bus system chief pledges a system that you can rely on, that people don't have to stand at a bus stop 2 hours.
Yeah.
and also that the city workers, those bus drivers, feel safe.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Supplying security.
yeah, I think that's going to be integral as Detroit becomes even more of a cosmopolitan, even more of a savvy city. People are going to look to public transportation, and they want to feel safe while they're on the bus. There's a mass transit system. People are going to want to feel safe. No one's going to want to, get on there if they're not feeling safe. So.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how this plays out because I believe there's come from the smart bus system in the suburbs, and now he's over here in the urban area in the city, and I want to see how he, take all that into consideration: safety, on time, and all of it.
Well,
because their issues they're
What
not
did you
the same
call
issues.
it? In the olden days, I didn't have anything about dropping my little money in the bus and just going. I didn't even think of things like somebody beating up a bus driver.
Right. It never happened.
Never happened. Those things just didn't happen, or if they happened, it was in
Right.
some kind of isolation because we didn't hear about it. I went on bus dates, and me and my, downtown.
Bus
and
dates.
My
Bus dates?
boyfriend would walk over my house, then we'd go to the bus stop, we'd catch the bus downtown.
I went
And
on
do
a bus
something.
date before.
Yeah. Do something.
And we'd go to the show, and then we'd come out.
Go get
We'd
some
go to
burgers.
dinner. We'd go to his show,
Come
and
back.
then we'd come out. It'd
No
be
question.
11:30 at night, and then we waited at the bus stop, not even worried about a predator. I mean, come on, that was the olden days.
You hear that, women?
It sounds horse and carriage.
Bus dates, women. So, don't be afraid to get on that bus.
Yeah, don't misinterpret what that means either.
All right, but it's on the bus, and the bus was a safe.
Was that when the city had like a movie theater to go to and things
Yeah, all
like that?
kinds
Yeah, they
downtown.
did, but
They
you
did.
know.
Right.
8
Other
movie
folks who
theaters
rode.
Some
downtown.
of my cousins wanted to come in the theater and just fight all the time, so they closed the theater. So I'm just telling the truth. I'm telling it like it is.
We had about 10 movie theaters downtown, and I bet
it
you I
was
could
a
name
lot.
most of them. At
Yeah.
least 10.
Oh, wow.
Grand Opera House was a movie theater. That was the Grand Circus.
Oh, wow.
The
Madison in
Fillmore
Michigan.
was the Palms, I think.
Yes.
And then around the corner was the Adams,
That's
on
right.
Adams.
Madison.
And of course there was the Fox. and
United
then
Artists.
The United Artists.
I did not know all this.
Well,
And more.
This
that's
day in
what you
Detroit,
can
I had
learn.
to put that in there.
No, you can learn that from people who were here in the olden days. All right. Now, okay, we're going to go through this quickly. I was reading that the dash cam wasn't working when they stopped City Councilman Cushenberry. So they're wondering why wasn't that working, because it should have been working and everything. Why would the police leave without a working dash cam that night? And it seems like every day, and this kind of made me real sensitive. I was watching the news, and sometimes I don't like to watch the news because they had 3 negative black men stories.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Great. I said, oh, this is killing me.
Well, with regard to the Cushenberry traffic stop, there's protocols that are supposed to be followed at the end of a shift and at the beginning of a shift. And it's my understanding that those officers had a responsibility to make sure that the mic and the camera was functional, and if it wasn't, for them to report it to their supervisor. Now, obviously, there's still some investigation going on internally, but it would be interesting to see if that was documented and what steps the supervisor actually took to make sure that that their procedure was followed. So
what do you?
I didn't care too much about the dash cam.
I think it's important.
It's important
I don't
now
think
in
it's
these
that
days.
important.
You
It
want to
is.
record what happens,
It
but
is important.
what actually happened with the Cushenberry stop? I mean, I believe that's recorded regarding between
Testimony.
testimony between Cushenberry and the officers.
But-
Now, regardless, I think the issue here is Cushenberry having both his friend in the car
With
with
the
marijuana,
marijuana.
and then an open container in the car at the same time.
And a suspended license.
But that's important as well. But there needs to be a new shift in mindset in the city that these little things are important.
Yeah.
It's definitely important for a dash, because it could have been something even more tragic. And so you need,
To be honest, I didn't even know that the city of Detroit can afford dash cam cameras. All right, so I didn't know they were in the car anyway.
That's
This
across
is
the
news to
country.
me, and it's good news is out there that hey, they do have dash cameras now. I thought that was something that's
But-
in majority of other
Do
cities.
you
the
think that
exception of Detroit.
these accusations are going to cloud him continually, or do you think he could make up for them, or something?
Well, I think that even more than him, it is another conversation or distraction from what's the work that's going on in the city of Detroit. Will it stick to him? I don't know. I don't think that this is going to be a talking point in June. But I think that the media that we have,
Unless something else happens.
But back to the point, a classic problem in the city, being a firefighter, is that we don't do the little things, and it's only until something big happens and we're like, oh, it's a big deal. Those officers should make sure that those dash cameras and mics are working, because it could have been anything.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah, I think the issue is more focused on Cushenberry, but
Yeah, I should have, because people are now talking about character. And it seems like every day they had a new something.
Well, another big one was about how he ransacked his house,
No, he stripped it.
stripped it. Yes, well,
I hate to even say
you
it.
can say.
he did. He stripped his house, and and it's now blight.
Yeah.
Then people come in there and put in $100K to make
Has he
everything
made
right.
Has he
but
made a statement regarding that? I haven't.
No, I don't think
Heard
he's
it.
going to make any statements.
he needs to stay out of the media right now.
Yeah.
Brenda,
Yeah, yes.
it seems to me across the board, and I had this in my organization, that standards and practices and ethics outside of your organization need to be exuded in society. We talk about character. If I'm a football player and I'm great on the field, I really need to show the world I'm great off the field. So we need to, no matter, especially celebrities, people in government.
Along with fame comes responsibility.
Absolutely. So, and I'm surprised that
Politics
some
too.
organizations don't have this in place where there's some kind of penalty
Or-
in general.
It's an ethics type of
Yeah,
thing.
right. That's what I'm saying.
And he's being investigated right now ethically in regards to, especially that police stop by the Inspector General. So
If I have any advice for Cushionberry, take care of all these matters with lightning speed.
Yeah.
If he wants to move on and we want to forget about him right away, he needs to start taking care of business on every issue right away.
And that's
I would clear everything up, whatever that means.
including legally, he represented somebody improperly. Looks
Yeah,
like,
what was that about?
And his law license was suspended for, I believe, like 60 days or not.
He's
90
he needs
days.
to take care of himself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We need to pray for him. It's
But
too bad.
let's go optimistic for the next few minutes. The Lions have a new coach.
I think it was a good pickup. As we both, I think majority of us heard yesterday, where Stephen A. Smith had a differing opinion about Jim Caldwell being the new coach. He actually rated it a B versus a A, in which I think he was spot on with. I don't think he's maybe a Super Bowl coach at the time, but I think he's going to be able to build the players up and eradicate a lot of the issues.
And I think that based on what we know, what we have in the Lions team, we have great talent. We've got a loyal fan base. What we do need is structure and discipline, and someone who is going to hold these players accountable on and off the field.
Yeah.
And from his interview, his initial press conference, that looks to be the type of person and the type of character that exudes from him. You know, he talked extensively about his family background, and more than even his football prowess, that is what stuck out with me, basically describing the type of person he is. And so a team reflects their coach's personality, and so if he's just haphazard and laid back, then they will be. If he's mentally tough, then they will. And so I was impressed with him. I think that Stephen A. did give a great grade. As far as a B is a pretty good grade in the NFL. We've been
And
having
like
Fs.
he said, and people have to know this, that Wisenhunt, or what was the man's name?
Yeah.
He did not want to come to Detroit.
Yeah.
That was the thing. People like that. We should have gotten him. He
He was
didn't
a
want to come.
number one pick.
And quite frankly, Jim Caldwell led a Super Bowl ready team in Indianapolis to the Super Bowl, in which I believe Detroit Lions is a Super Bowl ready team if he can get everybody disciplined in that organization.
But can he convince the whole team that he's a leader? You have to have respect. If you respect me and you believe in me and you trust me, that I got you, and that we're going to work as a team. We are so split, and we've been split inside internally for so many years. If they like this guy and believe in this guy,
I think it's going to happen.
I hope
Actually,
so.
Well,
he's a quarterback type of coach, and you have
With a defensive
several
background,
quarterbacks. Yeah, with a defensive background. And he has several, nationally known, just great quarterbacks. Gave him excellent reviews. They changed. Their game was changed because of Caldwell, including Peyton Manning. He gave it all up to Caldwell.
Super Bowl champions.
That he made me a great quarterback. And you get those leaders like Stafford. If he can mold Stafford into a great quarterback, you can get the rest of the leaders to go along with the team. Has to come up, rise up, and help discipline the rest of the team too. The captains there.
And Stafford has made some very cocky statements lately about him not needing to hear from an outside source because he needs some help.
We'll see how that relationship goes.
Yes, someone needs to be able to reach him, to teach him. He's still a young quarterback.
Well, I don't know why. I mean, you may say I'm a girl, but I understand football. I've understood
You
it
got women's
since
sports
before
kids.
you two were born. What I'm saying is, I can tell things about people. I just think that Stafford needs to go to another team. I'm just going to say it like that. I think that our standards are too low. I think Stafford needs to go to another.
We'll see with this coach how he plays how this whole thing plays out.
And
They're not gonna let him go this year.
as much as Caldwell is going to be on trial, know that Stafford, eyes are looking at him now as well, because he's
Right.
had his fair share of years to grow as a quarterback. He's shown that he has the talent. It's the mental discipline that he and the rest of the team haven't shown. So trust me, if Caldwell leaves, I guarantee you this: if he leaves on a bad note, Stafford won't be that far behind.
Okay, I think that the biggest monkey on Caldwell's back is the Lions organization. And we won't even have to talk about that because that organization
But also the
is-
greatest opportunity.
Well, I'm
because
going
if
to
he
let you
can,
know that a Q did hire a Kappa in this conversation too.
Oh,
Martin
golly.
Mayhew, you hired
Golly.
Jim Cotwell. in
Alpha
this-
Kappa Alpha Society Incorporated. Anyway, entertainment, we had a little bit. We have a couple of minutes, a few minutes. Tamara Mowry, who's one of those Mowry twins, she got on Oprah Winfrey's show and talked about the fact that she's gotten a lot of cruel texts and everything because she's married to a white man. It's unbelievable that this is still going on, and her parents are interracial.
Yeah.
you know, it's still a real problem. Case in point, I won't subject myself to this criticism, but imagine Rob walking down the street with a nice, attractive, white girl. He would get all type of looks and comments and things like that, and that's real. And so there's from both sides, from the white to black and the black to white. There's a ignorance that's still out there. And it doesn't matter if it's regarding sexuality, if it's regarding racial preference or things like that. You just have people out there who have an opinion and are stupid, about.
It's funny, and I want to get to Barry in a moment, but it was funny. My son, my daughter-in-law is white, and my son and Laura, they were at a restaurant in Royal Oak. This was before they had kids or something, but they were there, and they said another interracial couple walked in, and my son said, he looked at them and said, like that. He's so silly. But Barry, you've dated black women.
Most of my life, I have dated interracially, and when I was old enough to drink, I came to all the bars in Detroit that my friends would never step in, which were predominantly black bars. I used to go to remember Lafayette Orleans?
Of course, I
Was the
partied
greatest
there.
bar in Detroit where all the athletes used to go in upscale near 1300 Lafayette. It's like this, I believe. Racism across the board is probably never going to leave the world. It's worse in the United States than it is in Europe, but it's ongoing all the time. Racism is what's happening between Lansing and Detroit, I'm convinced. And I really believe if you really love somebody, I know this is easier said than done, but if you love somebody, you got to block all this other negative stuff coming. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, and then people might say, or let's say you're black, you're white or black, either way, and your parents, you're getting married. I can say, but what about the babies you're going to have? You're going to have, biracial children. How is that going to be for them? You're going to be putting this in the world. It doesn't matter. To the people that are really in love, you got to go with conviction. If you don't have conviction, then you don't belong with them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to have conviction.
Yeah,
Actually, with everything.
And the bottom line is there were just a slew full of ignorant comments coming
Exactly.
from
Right.
the public that don't even matter in their relationship.
Would either of you date outside your race?
I've never had before, but I'm not.
You're not
Don't be
closed
scared.
to-
Don't be scared.
I haven't foreclosed a thought.
Yeah, don't be
but
scared. What about you, Chris? I'm putting them on the spot. I just love what I'm doing.
Don't do that, Brenda.
My story is similar to Rob. I haven't before, but being raised in Detroit and then relocating down to Tennessee, I was around, white folks a lot, and I saw some cute, some cute white girls, cute black girls, and so I wouldn't take it off the table.
That's what I'm coming from D.C. I'm born and raised here. Been working in D.C. for some years in the East Coast. And you see a lot of interracial couples, especially in Virginia, in the D.C. area, period.
The
It's a
South,
melting
actually.
pot
The
of
South is actually.
racist there, and no one has a problem with that.
One more comment.
Yeah.
You know me, Brenda. I'm with everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, real quick. I've been with every conceivable radical group in Detroit, practically on the streets, whatever, the Nation, Islam, you name it. But there is the school of thought that if you are black, you are impuring your race. You are disseminating our count, right? What about the pure black race? So why would and then there's
That's
certain
an old
religions
school
that
of-
feel
that's an old school
I
of
hear
thought.
you, but that's kind of
Yeah.
that
That's
kind
an
of thought.
extremely old school thought.
Right,
and that's
but it
not-
exists.
It's. I don't think it's more prevalent now than it was back in the day. I think it's diluted a bit. That school of thought, anyway.
Well, Barry, I'd like to thank you. This is an interesting comment. I noticed you all didn't ask me, so I don't have to comment.
Well, have
and
you?
it's the end of the show, and it's my show.
No, I'm interested.
We got a couple of seconds.
You want to know whether or not I date outside my race?
Or had a crush at any time, anything like
Crush is different now.
Yeah. I want to know about dating.
Well, right now, since Idris Elba is not available, but
It's not outside your race.
I believe in personality, character. So if I meet somebody, I'm open. I'm just open.
She'll talk to him. That means she'll talk to him.
Yeah.
You hear
I'm
that?
Open.
Media
that?
I'm open. Brenda
public-
Perryman is open.
She's
Because
open.
when you get my
and
age,
available.
you- why am I available now? Come on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, he said I'm available. Oh, boy.
Thank you, Brenda. You thanked me. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. So, everybody, join us next week. We have the ladies of Table Talk on Table Talk.